Hello, everybody.
Yo,
Hi.
perfect start. Is it just me, or is Tim totally glitching out?
Sounds like he's been assimilated by the board.
Okay. So
Welcome,
Tim,
everybody.
yeah, Tim, you got to fix your audio. Your computer's all frozen on us, bro. Today is the first flagship show of the new, what is it called? It's no longer
Banter.
the Danter Banter, but I liked the thumbnail tonight. What was it? It was general consensus or something?
Yeah.
It was cool. Pretty much going to do the same thing we do all the time, except it's not relegated to just crypto thumbnails and people expecting Bitcoin chat 24/7. And Tim will eventually come back because it's not our channel.
In the meantime, we have this nice little placeholder of him frozen in place.
What have you been up to?
At least that's the way he seems.
Yeah, no, what have you been up to this week?
Basically, just busy. Research, piling out videos. It's takes up a lot of time, but
the usual.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Just the usual. And yeah.
What a start. What a start. It's almost worse. What's worse? Is muting worse? Is going full-blown 5 to 6 minutes mute worse? Or is a frozen screen with that face worse?
I would say
don't know.
No, I will say that screen was worse only because anytime you start off your stream 5 to 15 minutes in mute, it is so much fun in your chat. All of the mime jokes are just
crazy.
Classic. So,
I'm telling the folks, Tim is coming back. Stick with us. We got 15 people here, so hit the like button. It might encourage Tim to come back for his own live stream because we have no clue.
Light his way with a bright blue like button all lit up nice and hard.
Was there some joke, by the way, behind your background, or was I just like missing that entirely?
No. It was just I was trying to find something and I was thinking, well, what exactly is the theme? And then I was like, well, it's kind of recession, it's kind of inflation. Then I was like, well, the only commonality between all of the different themes we have tonight is math. So let's just go with a math background.
Done. There you go.
Yeah.
Heads up, if I go, it's because I am tethering. I have had to renew 10 gig at a time at $40 a shot 4 times so far this week.
When are you going to get your friggin' internet hooked up?
Yeah, that's another debacle. So I don't know if I told you last week, I'm going with Virgin, which is owned by Bell. Bell totally pooched me and dropped the. They have to run a line in the ground to get the internet to me. And they dropped the ball on May 6th of following up with the contractors who are going to dig the holes and do whatever like that. They were going to run a temporary line. Now, imagine this. You've got a maybe $3 to $4 million house facing Lake Ontario. We're renters, but these people have made some nice Cape Codish homes and stuff like this. Guy says to me, you want to run a temporary line in front of 4 of these homes right in line sight of the lake? I said, no, thank you. I'm good. I just value my relationship with my neighbors too much. Right. So he puts the request in and then I follow up. 4 or 5 days later, they can't find the request at all. That was last Saturday. They say May 28th is when we'll run it. People upstairs have Virgin. They say it's no problem. Looked into it. I get it for about 3/4 of the price of Bell at 50 meg down. So it gets in tomorrow, Friday. But I've been tethering, and that's where when I just cut out there, my gas tank was empty, and I had to go renew it.
Mm-hmm. I've only done that once, and it almost killed me when I realized how much data I went through on a live stream. But yeah, hopefully it doesn't go through too much. It's good your internet's coming back tomorrow, though.
So I have no idea what you guys have said.
I don't know, but when you said tether, that reminded me of something I saw today. A lot of institutional people are getting really spooked when it comes to stablecoins after the whole Terra Luna thing. And at one point this week, Tether actually dropped down to 95 cents, which is huge.
What people or at least I know brand new people like me didn't even know this until the Luna thing. But as I've started picking up on a little bit of knowledge like that, when you depeg like that, so if you were to depeg by, say, a penny, you would need, let's say, $100 billion to make any real change, right? To shift things out. if it depegs by 5 cents, then reduce it by a factor of say 5, right? You only need 20 million or 20 billion or whatever, right? It blows my mind that what were you thinking when it depegged? Because I was thinking, oh my God, all my hedges are about to explode. That's what I was thinking. I'm like, green for this because I'm just going to hold Bitcoin regardless. But I was like, what were you thinking? Because I was thinking, oh my God, why doesn't someone come in here with $20 billion and just screw the whole process up and just like do that consolidation trade over and over and over again?
Well, it was interesting. I honestly did not think it was as easy as it was to take out Luna. And looking at that, to me, it made me see that was a house of cards setup. And
but isn't anything that's supposed to be pegged to a certain number a house of cards? Because even one deviation allows someone with mega bank
but you
to
see,
totally.
And that's what's happening. Like example with the tether going down to 95. It's because there's a lot of institutional people that've got billions of dollars parked in stablecoins, and they're like, we can't afford to lose that. That's our company.
No.
So
No, but
some of them are
but Ryan, you said house of cards, and it's just. But
I didn't say house of cards.
I said house of cards.
That was her.
Oh, sorry, your house of cards. One of you did. But I mean, isn't to a certain degree our monetary fiat system a house of cards? Our stocks sort of not so much.
Sure. So George Soros, whether people love him or hate him, he's very famous for his ability to trade in currencies, right? He would be like the guy to look at. So he did something miraculous in Europe, and that's how he kind of gained his name with when the British pound collapsed, he was able to trade it based off kind of similar ideas. And I'm just thinking, to me, I kind of agreed though when Candace said house of cards, because if you have $20 billion, why wouldn't you just arbitrage the shit out of it until you couldn't anymore? Because I mean, even a 0.1% swing in your $20 billion arbitrage, that's done by an algorithm. So just a bajillion times a second. I don't know. To me, it freaked me right out.
I certainly would not want to park anything in stablecoin in this environment right now. So
what about USDC?
See, that's where I am. That's where I'm. I don't have a lot of money. I don't have a lot of money parked there. But if you follow Kevin O'Leary and what he's doing with BitBuy and what he's doing with WonderFi, he is. I'm not going to. I'll probably bugger it somehow, but he has been talking to Circle, and Circle is, I believe, involved with USDC. So, but when we were back like last year, some of the influencers were saying, watch out about Tether, watch out about Tether. Even, Rob on, Digital Asset News, he was saying, Tether's a house of cards. It's a house of cards. It's a house of cards. And when someone gets greedy and tries to do too much crap with it, this is what can happen.
And that's the thing.
Is it even like getting greedy? Because now that we've seen what can be done, I don't even know if it's greedy. It's almost stupid not to do it to Tether too. Like I'm just thinking if I had the ability to do it and I knew I could do it, why wouldn't I just, that $20 billion didn't evaporate. It obviously went somewhere else. The hedgies, whoever was betting against it, right? Why wouldn't you do it? There's a part of me that thinks now that because Candace kind of said, now that you realize it's almost way easier than we thought, are they stupid not doing it? Like, why wouldn't they do it? Just for the grace of good kind of thing?
But wouldn't the retailers get hurt the most?
But they're not why do they care?
No, a retailer invested in Tether, parking it there. You know how you can?
That's what
I mean. I mean, that's because it was so tempting at the beginning. Remember when BlockFi was saying, put it in here and you'll earn 5, 6, 7%, blah 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 blah, and all of a sudden it goes to the pits, right? It's like,
No, I knew a couple of YouTubers that I follow were really, really deep into UST and Luna. And they watched, they had like $1.5 million in Luna that turned into $500.
It's disgusting.
Oh my God.
And they're never going to get that back. Now, when you mention USDC, if I had to pick a coin, I would go with USDC over Tether. I've never really liked Tether.
This is my only. Sorry,
I think they're both house of cards, except for the house of cards that Tether was built probably by a drunk person. So I wouldn't trust it as much.
My thing with this is like, okay, so let's stable coins versus cash. They're pegged to the dollar, or they should be, right? But the dollar is like a constantly inflating asset. So it's pegged to an inflation-based asset, right? So theoretically, your stablecoin is worth less and less, just like your dollar is worth less and less, right? At the end of the day. So it's got the same impacts as cash. Yeah, it totally is. If it's still exchangeable for $1 now and $1 in 10 years, it dies to inflation, except you can't access it for 7 days minimum, maybe 5 days to 7 days. So it's not like cash. It's like cash in that it inflates away like cash, but you have the ability to stake it for 7% and possibly combat inflation. So are you willing to have your cash combat inflation and keep it in a stable coin and say have a zero net gain? Let's say inflation 7% and they're paying you 7%. So it literally is zero net gain, but you sacrifice all liquidity. That is good about cash. You give away all your liquidity and you're now up to the risk. You're now you're now susceptible to these risks like the Luna or Tether or whatever. I don't like, does anyone here own stable coins? I cannot wrap my head around stable coins.
Here's that
I can't wrap my head around it.
Because once again, and you kind of hit onto it with liquidity, because if you have a bunch of stable coin and then you go and stake it, at that point, they're lending you're lending your coin out. So the coin's not there. So if everybody decides they want to cash in their stable coins because something's happening in the market, that exchange is not going to have the liquidity. It's just going to cause that house of cards to start falling. So I would,
and they're not FDIC covered.
Yeah,
like a bank would be, right? To a certain degree.
Do you remember what Coinbase came out and said though? Why they're not FDIC covered if you've lent them out through the exchange? That would just go down with the exchange or the company.
Yeah, and you got to look.
Coinbase said was scary.
I'm sorry. I was making
so much small print on this insurance. Like a lot of insurance doesn't cover crypto at all, so you have to be really.
No. I was making a different reference. Yeah.
Yeah.
But wasn't gold, or wasn't the U.S. dollar for a little while backed by gold? You know what I mean? And then that
was back in the day before we had.
Oh, I know. But it's just I go back to those days, and it's like, look what the hell happened then. You know what I mean? When it came off the gold standard.
1971 was when we screwed the world.
Well, quite honestly, the government realized that everybody needed the American dollar more than the American dollar needed them. So F gold. Let's just print as much American dollar as we need. And it's freaking devastating when you think that it goes down to a Republican that did this, of all freaking people. I hate his guts. I think it was like Nixon or whatever. But anyway, brutal. That's my Nixon.
Do you think we would be in a different financial state of affairs had they not come off the gold standard?
I think way worse, because the growth would have been stagnated like crazy.
Yeah.
Like American growth.
What about world?
Maybe more balanced. But
so America, you're saying we'd be in a worse off position?
I think America would have been worse off. And so would we have been worse off, in my opinion. But that's speaking selfishly because of how much we've benefited by printing like crazy and taking advantage of other countries by doing so.
Yeah.
So
that's inflation is also good. I mean, with a reasonable amount. Because if you have no inflation, what ends up happening is you start getting into a situation where you start finding deflation starting to happen. So, for example, if you want to go and buy a new car that's $10,000 and you're knowing, well, gosh, next month it's going to be $9,800, I'll just wait. So it basically makes you not want to spend your money, which starts to stagflate the whole economy. So inflation is good. It's always good to have a healthy amount, like about a 2% inflation is perfect. Even as high as 3%, but no higher.
That brings up an interesting thing, and I don't know that I'll share this screen, but I don't know if you've seen it.
While you're bringing this up, what Candace said there is so true, which is why I always used to laugh when Bitcoin maxis would go against the alt currencies or ETH base because they're inflating assets. Because inflation is a good thing. Inflation can be a very good thing. I just wanted to bring that up, but I rarely come to the defense of altcoins, but.
And I'm a bit of a Bitcoin bull, but at the same time, I will definitely say the one reason the world will never be on Bitcoin forever is because it is limited amount.
Exactly.
That would lead to deflation, and that would be a bad thing overall, as I had just mentioned before in that example.
Yeah.
Did that come up?
Yep.
Yeah.
This was in the papers today here out in Toronto, and it's like, here we go. About buyers trying to get out of deals now, and it looks like we're going to be, is this something that is going to create? Is it something that's going to create a increase of the bankruptcies? Because everyone's going to be suing everyone, and now they're going to default, and now the mortgages are going to be taken back by, or the agreements are going to be taken back by whoever's involved in backing them.
We've also got a lot of people who've, they've leveraged everything they have to get a house, and now interest rates are going up, and they're going to basically, they may struggle for a few months, but, it's pretty bleak for them in the future. So there's going to be bankruptcies.
Not to mention the amount of layoffs that are hitting the United States, right, in the coming weeks, even starting now, is pretty intense. That's going to come swift and really fast, and Canada's not immune. Not to mention, if we were to have, let's just try to visualize, I know this is a bad representation, let's just pretend this is American house prices, let's say slightly elevated. This is Canadians. And like, if you were to overlay those two charts, they're in a significantly better position than we are right now. Despite our economy relying on theirs so much, it's almost a double negative, because one, we have no economy that can balance on its own legs. And two, we're so set up negatively with the housing overflow that we're about to see, by the way, because you're going to have all of these people who regret moving to the suburbs instantly. You're going to have all the defaults on the deals that people set up 8-9 months ago that still aren't built, like Tim was just saying. I already know from my family's gig that stuff is getting to a point where it's like only the strong and established will survive. Everything else is done because it's like a culling. It's absolutely crazy what's happening with home ownership. Dude, it's going to get freaking worse. And Canada's not well positioned compared to the States.
And just watch tech. It's begun in tech. I touched it on my show the other night. I mentioned about all of the different layoffs happening in tech, and they're not slowing down. It's only getting worse, if anything.
Yeah. So sorry,
Ryan, your mom and dad, and I don't know if you know it or not, but the some of the trades and home builders out here are on strike in Ontario. Has that affected your parents at all?
Those are probably employees of bigger companies, right? So I don't know. Are they unionized?
No, some of them are contractors who have been certified to join the carpenters union, or whatever the union is that's on strike out here.
I've never in my life seen a construction worker not go to work unless they're part of a union. That's my I can guarantee.
There's sites that are shut down here.
Just shutting down, but there got to be union sites. I've never seen. I've seen COVID shutdowns for average stuff, but
here's the thing: he's on a huge project up. I've got a client who is a drywall taper, and he goes in and he finishes off all of the stuff that the normal tapers and drywallers didn't take care of, and takes care of all the imperfections and stuff like that. And all the drywallers and stuff are off. He is not certified and he is non-union. And his crew is going in and working every single day now, but everyone else is off the job.
Exactly, because if you're a union or a red seal or whatever, that's kind of the trade-off, right? It's like you'll make slightly more dollar per hour, but you work significantly less hours sometimes. Like, I mean, Ken can attest this because he's part of a union. And in the second that he joined the union, his counterparts got the same raise, except now he owes a portion to the union. That's what the whole union is for. They're not there for the worker. They're there so that more workers paying dues. It's a business. And it's probably the biggest contradiction in the modern workforce. They were really valuable back in the day. But a union right now has to be the biggest contradiction in a modern workforce because of them trying to represent the worker, when in factuality, worker tends to make less with the friggin' union take home than they would their counterparts. And it's so devastating because you want to, now the trade-off is a pension, I guess. The trade-off would be a pension. I don't know. No one in my family's ever I don't even think about a pension, but
apparently they're asking for $20 over 3 years.
They're asking for what, sorry?
$20 over 3 years.
$20 an hour?
Over wage increase over 3 years.
Oh, that's a union. Yeah, that's a union. That's actually laughable.
Yeah.
Oh, gotta love it.
But, and he said they'll probably settle for $10 or $12 over 3 years. And
I bet. Yeah, I bet.
God bless.
Settle for that. Yeah, that would be incredible. And yeah, that would be quite the pay raise. I bet they would settle for even $10 over 3 years. Seeing unions are, I don't know. You guys know I'm against them. So everyone's got their opinion.
I mean, I'm against them only for the reason that every time I've ever encountered a union, they've been annoying.
They're annoying.
See,
I know.
and you guys, see, you've dealt with them. You've not dealt with them as an employer, though, have you?
Well, I dealt with them as a manager outside of the union, and they hindered. I had a lot of bad employees when I took over my department, and I couldn't get rid of the people who weren't doing the job because the friggin' union found loophole after loophole after loophole to protect people who just didn't want to work and didn't want to be there.
And I'm going to say this. So this was actually one of the best part-time jobs I had as a young person. If there's any young people watching, Loblaws was a good job. It was unionized. And when I got into Loblaws, I made friends really quick. So the thing is, though, I got lucky. So I got in at like the first one during a hiring blitz. So if anyone knows what a union's like, I was hired virtually the same week as 40 other people, but I was hired first. So I was so high up in seniority there that I could pretty much do whatever I wanted. And I did. And we did whatever we wanted. We were young kids, missed our shifts. We ate food on the job. They'd give us write-up after write-up after write. I was so high in seniority, they couldn't fire me if they tried.
Ironically, it was the same company because it was Superstore, which is owned by Wayfair, who owns Loblaws as well.
Wayfair is owned by Loblaws?
What?
Well, Wayfair owns the Superstores and the Loblaws. It's all part of the same food company.
Oh,
Wayfair as in
Wayfair
products?
Foods. Yeah.
Or Wayfair Foods, not Wayfair where you get tables and chairs and stuff.
No, it's Wayfair Foods. They're based out of, I believe, Winnipeg. Now, at this time, I was managing in Calgary. So,
see, now I come from it that I was the employer. I owned my own company, and the Teamsters came into my company, and I never had a problem with them. Like they were actually on my side when I had to discipline someone.
Here was one of the issues I had is that the way the union worked, I had to give hours to whoever had the most seniority first, even though I know they weren't going to do the job. So I would give the hours to the person who had that seniority. They wouldn't do the job, and I no longer had the budget to get the job done. So I had to come in on my own time and do it myself.
That's what the problem is with unions, is that if you're, and I'm not knocking people who work for unions, because I know there's people in our community who work for unions, but I mean, it really does allow for some people to take advantage of it. Without me going into details, I think everyone knows what I mean. You can really take advantage, because there's one thing that's always bothered me about a union is that when you work with unionized people, you can immediately, when you get to a job site, figure out the totem pole, who's contributing, who's not, whatever workplace, right? Nothing's worse than contributing 10 times more than someone who's like 50 places up on the totem pole in a union, because you're never going to get promoted over them no matter what. They got to die before you get a promotion over them. And it's like that. Unions hurt me. Unions hurt my soul.
Yeah. I mean, and I think there was a time and a place. I think that unions probably were very effective.
Totally agree.
But I think we're in a situation now where
well, it's not 1940 with 18-hour workdays and a $2 wage, right? Like
exactly. I think the regular labor protections that are available for everybody, I think they almost supersede what a union was there for at this point in time.
Given the amount of rights and freedoms the average worker has without even contacting a lawyer or anything like that, or outside of a union, absolutely. In fact, the companies that don't give you any detail on your employment contract pretty much means you're entitled to absolutely everything if you ever get fired. So that's what I mean. Unions are, I almost wish to be hired by a company paying me crazy and says just, oh, let's wing it, shake hands. You know what I mean? Because then I'm walking out with every single benefit ever that was entitled to anyone. That's the thing. You nailed it on the head, Candace. It's almost like modern law has caught up with enough precedent in the court cases that we've bettered the union. You nailed it.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Well, times change, right? Times change. It's just like now the most of the rights and most everything is in a landlord tenant act is more geared towards the tenant, right?
Which
and the
what do you
landlords
think
have
about
to
that as
swallow
a landlord?
swallow the financial harm, even though it goes against what would be done on a normal business deal. It's just you don't pay, you don't get the service, you don't get the product, you don't get this or that. Not when it has a roof over your head.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah, no, it really is tough. I mean,
You don't want to kick someone out and cause
Well,
a
it's
family to be homeless,
it's
but
also
if they don't
very
pay
hard
rent,
to kick someone out nowadays.
it's like impossible. That's what he's getting at. It's like next to
Yeah.
it. But I mean, at the same time, if you don't pay rent, get the hell out of my house.
You
Like,
know what?
there's-
You watch. One day the government will use that as part of their platform to get elected. That don't worry, if a tenant goes sour on you, we'll pay you their rent until they get back on their feet.
I bet you that'll come sooner than you
You
think.
watch. Mark my words.
Yeah, I in my opinion, that would be smarter than UBI, though. I would rather that than UBI. Like if everyone had a yellow flag to wave once a year or something, as opposed to
Yeah.
a monthly income, I would take that over UBI because
Although eventually we will need UBI, but
I know,
we're
I
not
get it.
there yet.
I
We're
hate
talking
it.
about when we have automation to the point that you've got millions of people where there are no jobs for them.
No, it's a fact. No, that's true.
I mean, you're going to be in a situation you either give them UBI or you're going to be dealing with a incredible crime rate because people who
Well,
can't.
no, it's like if we already think that the separation of the classes is a problem now, wait till we have a robot. Okay, wait till we have a freaking robot. It's going to be absolutely insane. What like a unionized Amazon warehouse? There's you know how Blockbuster shut down and there's one more left in Alaska or whatever the hell it is. We're going to have the last Amazon warehouse with people in it will be a union and that will shut down. And
we have unionized
it'll be
robots
everywhere. Sorry?
No.
We have
The
unionized
robots don't get unionized; they get energized.
No, you know what? The robots will be quasi-unionized because they'll be under the policy of the business that sold the robots. So it'll
They
be
always will, but the robots are always, no matter how much
I'm
you
not
try and
talking
please them,
about a
will always
union.
have a chip on their shoulder.
oh
Oh,
that one came so smoothly. Nice, dude.
how long have you been saving that one for?
Oh no, it just came to me.
Okay.
Do you not think? Are we that daft to think that our government or someone, or are they just putting it aside that they're not planning like for what happens when universal basic income comes in and what that's going to look like? And do we start doing stuff now to prepare for that? Let me give you a comparison to that. Someone somewhere somehow had to know decades ago that not recycling stuff was going to be a problem in the future for our landfill. And yet here we are out with the blue boxes.
Politicians usually only look as far as the next election.
Yeah.
They're not looking
Yeah,
beyond
isn't that sad? Isn't that sad?
But what I would envision is when the robots are doing most of the labor and the work, I envision that companies, if you have 5,000 robots, that you'll have a tax on each robot, and that tax will then go towards helping with things like UBI and funding stuff like that.
Sure, but what's going to happen though is that we're slowly going to be rationing ourselves without realizing it because we're still going to have access to all the same products. What's going to happen though is that the products we love are going to be so overpriced that by our own choice, we ration ourselves, which brings us to an area that is sustainable with UBI. Does that make sense? Because like inflation is going to be what separates us into one class versus another, one dependent on UBI and one totally outside of UBI because you're part of the 5%, let's say. But they're not going to take it away from us. They're going to price it and make it our own choice. But we will ration ourselves to a point, I believe, where we will be able to sustain what we think is normal on UBI. And it's not going to be normal if we look back on how we grew up as kids or anything like that. But I think we're already fashioning ourselves to get to that point. We're psychologically rationing all the time now.
Yeah, no, it'll be a new normal, absolutely. And
Totally.
There's going to be a lot of people who they may sit back right now and think, oh, it'd be so great that I could do anything I want all the time. They're going to get bored of that. And
trust me,
we will find new types of jobs coming in, whether everybody just becomes a broadcaster and YouTube explodes into something even bigger.
But then you have to think too, that's not possible because there can only be so many who are watched and popular before oversaturating. Same thing happened with satellite TV, and that's why it's not popular anymore. And people go with basic cable packages. Oversaturation And YouTube's almost getting to a crazy curve of oversaturation. But
well, no, it'll make it much harder for people to actually make a living on YouTube once you get
exactly
oversaturation.
I wonder what the future holds for what it is going to be that is going to keep people employed. Do we just not turn a blind eye to it now? It's already out there, and we just don't realize that that is going to be the new future of how people make money, and that's the new industry, and that's the new work, and that's the new whatever. Do you think it's out there already?
Well, no, here's a beautiful thing. The beautiful thing right now is the boomers are all getting ready to retire. Some of them already have. As the boomers leave the workforce, that is leaving a massive hole. So that's going to really, I think, perpetuate employment for a while. Even if we start phasing in robots to start doing a lot of stuff, the holes left by the boomers, I think.
I got to bring this up, though, too, because this is only related to a video that got me in trouble today on Twitter, but there's two of them. One I showed Tim. There's another one I got to show Tim after, but there's this one guy who's describing his work week during the last quarter at Twitter before Elon Musk came into it, okay? Now, I'm just extrapolate this to any massive company or government in the States or Canada, whatever. I'm just saying a massive company or organization, right? He said that he'd be lucky, also not scrutinized whatsoever, lucky to get 4 to 5 hours in a week during the entire quarter. Guy makes over 100 and whatever the heck grand a year, he was saying. It's like, since we've had this stay-at-home thing, we've realized that it's almost, remember that movie Office Space where not a lot of people were working in the office anyway? It's like we're at home, but we're really not working at home. But the business operation is still continuing. It's almost kind of showing me that, like, have we just been extremely underproductive, one, or devastatingly overpaying everybody, and we didn't realize it until they went home and got the same shit done in 2 hours? Like, I think
people are very unproductive in a workplace environment where any kind of socialization can go on. I know managing call centers, just the amount of absolute time wasted, even especially at the management level. I mean, at the management level, we used to play practical jokes on each other. And
oh my gosh, go to anywhere. I mean, it's crazy. No, but this is a question for you though, Candace. If they were going, let's extrapolate the Twitter scenario to any company, XYZ, okay? Let's say you're going into this company, you are making $149,000 a year, okay? You work coming in 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week. You're making 150 grand a year, let's say. Okay, that's fair, right? Mm-hmm. But what if, though, you are able to actually prove that the same job is done with 2 hours? Is that employee even worth it anymore? Like, at what point do you say, like, what's the work actually worth?
I guess it depends on the job.
No, because it tells me that the employee could obviously get the work done extremely efficiently at home when they were focused, but chose not to at work.
So this is what you introduce as a 4-day work week. Now, if this is what we're saying is that it gets done quicker because there's less interruptions and the person is more focused at home, this now can create an argument and a case study for why we should only work 4 days a week.
But the pay has to go down.
I think that's a good idea.
It has to, but I bet you it won't.
Here's one of the things I used to do with my trainers when I used to send them home, because when I had them in the center working on stuff that especially time related stuff, there was a constant slew of employees coming in with questions all the time. So they were never getting the work done. So what I would do is I would determine how much work I needed done. I would send them home and I'd say, look, you're getting paid 8 hours. If you can do it in 6 hours, you've got 2 bonus hours. I don't care what you do.
I know. I'm just saying, how long, though, before the boss says that this has been a long-going bonus, guys, and this is your wage now? Like, there's going to be renegotiation. Like, that's
because people on salary get paid X to get the job done, right?
Yeah.
And it's not going to affect the hourly person, I don't think, because they're usually in a situation that's a retail or a food industry, which is they get paid for what they work based on the demand of the people.
Yeah.
So it's not going to change on that side. But I think when you're talking about people with salaries, a salary isn't defined by number of hours a week, at least not any contract I've seen when you're on salary. I mean, Nancy's on salary. She does way over 37 and a half hours, 40 hours a week, way over that. And you know that.
And the hourly
price stays the same.
Yeah, the hourly frontline workers, they are actually worked to death. Like they don't get very little breaks. And plus, I mean, half the time I used to be coming up to them just to, just to counsel them on their stats because they weren't working hard enough when they were the ones who worked the hardest.
This is my thing, is that I'm willing to bet that it's not going to affect salaried, like already paid salaried employees as much, especially people like Nancy who've been around the block with the company. But I'd be willing to bet that all new hires, their salaries based on the current situation. I would never pay someone the same now.
With a bonus,
hold on.
With a bonus structure.
And let me say this though, and I'd be willing to put money down and bet this. It's just my gut that there's going to be massive ageism lawsuits coming in Canada and the United States in the next 10 years because they're going to be able to hire people like Nancy for half the cost because the workplace is shift. And I hate to say that too. Like, that's my gut feeling. Like, because why every new hire would get significantly less money if they're staying home. Every single one. And I mean, that to me, do what you want with your time. If it takes you an hour and a half to do your 8-hour job, I'm so glad that you get paid 5 hours worth, but you're not going to get 8.
Well, there
you know
was,
what I mean? Like,
there was that law firm. I brought this up on my show a couple of weeks ago. They're over in London, and all of the people who decided they didn't want to come back to work, they said, fine, you can work from home, but you're getting a 20% cut in pay.
I 100% agree with that. I think that's a trade-off, a
absolutely.
fair one.
And they had precedent in place for this because anytime they hired people to be remote workers, they were paid 20% less. Their salary initially always was 20% less because they don't have to deal with all of the expenses of commuting into London.
You want to know what's funny? When I had my old job as the trainer in Western Canada or whatever, I could choose to go to the dealerships and partake in the commission or stay home and work on the computer aspect of things and blast appointments for Western Canada, but I would base pay. I 100% agree with that entirely. I would agree with that entirely. You want to stay home? Gucci, but I'm just paying a little bit less. And they're thinking, and then employees will come back and say, you should pay me more because you're saving on the office space. No. The whole world's changing. Let's all get to this. You know what I mean? Like, let's all play ball together. Like, it's crazy. The employees, I think, are who is paid more working at home. I think that's a rarity. That might be a small business who can't afford an office. I don't know. I don't want to make assumptions, but I think that's a rarity. I agree with Candace. I think the London story was amazing when I heard that. The 20% was awesome to me. I thought that was perfect.
And Candace, I just want to go back to something you said. You said you think that because of the boomers coming of age and retiring and leaving the workforce, that it's going to leave a huge hole. I asked the question to that comment saying, but we already have a bunch of people who won't get off their butts and work. And we've got a job demand now. What makes you think that boomers leaving the job market is going to entice people to come back to work even more?
Well, here's the funny thing. I think I'm really beginning to think that the job shortages that we have right now are a little bit of an illusion.
I 100%.
That never happens, Candace. Fake news.
No.
I'm joking.
Okay, but let me explain why. I think what it is a lot of the people who've had 2 years to sit on their butts. Well, I don't think all of them have been sitting on their butts. A lot of them have been making new careers for themselves. A lot of them have been getting training so that they can do better jobs and basically learning to value to say, you know what? That crap job I was working, I don't want to do that anymore. I'm gonna get the skills, or I'm gonna apply myself to get something better. And that's where those people have gone. They're not still sitting at home without any payments, just sitting there starving because they've got no money coming in. So I think we were looking at the jobs. Yes, those jobs are empty, but those people who were in those jobs are doing other things now. They're not sitting there just waiting. And that's kind of the whole thing. And now we're at a situation where a lot of the professional jobs that are empty, it's not so much as well in that case that they don't have anybody who can take the jobs, just that they don't have anybody qualified and they're not willing to accept somebody not qualified.
There's also something interesting I read. Now, it was so long ago, so I'm going to rely on Candace mainly for this. But if Tim, then speak on it. But I was hearing that a lot of the American job numbers and Canadian job numbers, when we're counting like job openings, for instance, let's say, I'm just going to use this as a for instance. Let's say SNC Lavalin, okay? they've got 5,000 positions overseas. Let's just say, okay, but they count those open positions overseas as a Canadian job company opening. Is that kind of, I mean, am I?
No, I don't think.
You mean in country?
Okay, I remember reading something along those lines, so I don't have any details. I just was trying to ring a bell with someone, but okay.
No, but what they would count as a Canadian opening is if they have Canadian positions that would oversee the overseas
But isn't
job.
every position a Canadian position given everything's remote now? Like, is that actually maybe contributing to it? Is that now that we can classify it as an American position working technically for the Asian wing, but he's remotely doing it, is that maybe contributing? I don't know. I'm just throwing ideas
I don't know. I think it comes down to where you're located. So even if you're doing remote work, like if you're working for a Canadian company and you're doing remote work, and let's say you decide you want to live in the States, you still need to get visas and things like that to be able to work in the States, even though you're working for a Canadian company.
My only thing is like, okay, so you know the American job numbers, they have like 11 million Jolt openings, whatever the hell their readings are, right?
Mm.
Where did those numbers come from? Seriously, though. Like, because there was I don't know how we got onto this job stuff, but I agree with you, Candace, because it seems weird to me. Like, where did 11 million jobs come from in the middle of shutdowns?
Well, they created 2.1 million jobs.
But
so
what's with the 11 million? I don't care about what they created.
Okay.
Forget that.
No, but I'm just saying that's part of that 11 million, if you think
Okay.
about it. You've also got people who decided to retire early. So a lot of boomers who are close to retirement, they were like, I've only got a couple of years left. I'm gone. In addition to that, you have people who moved on, of course.
But wouldn't they be removed from the market? And
here's the morbid thing. You've also got the people who died during the illness, though they're not coming back to work.
Okay. So there's only 1 million people who died in the United States. And I'm not going to say only, but so that will contribute. The boomers, it does seem weird, though. You got to admit that 11 million openings popped up.
It's a big number.
Yeah.
But here's the thing that we don't know. Are those 11 million full-time equivalents? Or are they just 11 million jobs? Like if there are 11 million part-time jobs, they may only be 7 million full-time equivalents.
Are you saying that 11 million openings is more than what was in demand prior to the flu?
11 million openings is way more than the United States has seen in a long time.
Okay,
11 million.
fair enough. No. I'm going somewhere with this. Does that have any? No, it couldn't have any correlation to jobs and services and stuff that were created during the flu and are now back to normal. So therefore, they're vacant.
But how many jobs to counteract?
I don't know. I'm throwing stuff out there. Like, I mean,
yeah, no, it's good. Yeah,
the demand for work. Labor with like an Amazon or with everything else has increased immensely because that is.
Well, what I wondered is if it was more or less America's reactionary kind of response to the impact of COVID globally, in that maybe our trade partners couldn't have actually satisfied certain things. And by nature, everyone went back to the hub, went back to America. Therefore, there were jobs. I have no idea. I think everyone's spitballing good ideas.
Yeah.
Sorry,
when you touch on Amazon again, I mean, they did overhire like crazy during the, I think we're allowed to say pandemic now. Everybody's saying it and nobody's getting into trouble or getting the words up on the bottom, but your channel up to you. But during that time, they hired so many people. And now that they're at the point where they're laying them off, so some of these people will hopefully start filtering back into some of these other empty jobs to try to even things out.
Also, I think we have to keep this in mind too, is how many people transitioned out of the workforce last year. And we're not going to count them as like their designation would change after the tax season, would it not? Kind of thing, like if they are self-employed. So we may have, after a few months, maybe 2 quarters of realization, maybe come back to normal, kind of realizing that people did leave. Because I was wondering myself, until my taxes get counted, let's say, do they think I'm unemployed?
They probably do.
You know what I mean? Because I just registered the business, so if I'm considered unemployed, there could be 1 million other people who did their own gig. And so I thought It could be it too. I mean, job numbers are crazy though.
And right now they're not even counting you as having created one job.
Literally, exactly, because I haven't. Well, they've probably seen it by now, but yeah, I'm probably there's probably even just people like me. There's probably a lot like me too who are completely listed as unemployed too.
Yeah.
So then that would maybe speak well to our unemployment rates. The only problem is with unemployment rate is that they keep changing the definition of unemployment to include those who are out of the market because of the pandemic. So that's so fluid. I don't know how to gauge that, but.
And I think we're not going to have clear ideas.
Okay, Jill's saying I'm not unemployed. Wait, you have to be. I'm not actively Wait. Oh, so to be unemployed, you have to be looking for work. So if you're not looking for work at all, they don't consider you unemployed?
It depends. Like in the past, you had to be on unemployment for them to count you as unemployed. Otherwise, they counted you as jobless.
Okay.
Oh, Jesus, splitting hairs.
Yeah, that's stupid. That's
Holy crap.
Yeah, that's getting stupid.
Oh.
That's not Candace saying that, by the way. That's our insane government. But okay, that is insanely splitting hairs. But okay.
Oh yeah.
So that's another thing too. Then in our how many people have given up looking for jobs and are no longer considered unemployed?
Well, I mean, considering anybody who got transitioned onto unemployment during the illness, they've used up all their hours, so it doesn't matter whether they found a job or not. They're now in that jobless area.
Oh man, I didn't know about the Thank you, Jill, for correcting me on. I didn't know about the designations on that.
And we want to go. I just think UBI is just going to take us down a huge rabbit hole. We're going to have a bunch of porch sitters.
Look at the 1950s. Welcome back, Cotter. It's over. All right. It is going to be completely socialized, and it's because there's too much people. There's too many people. We have no choice because the only other option would be to let some people die so others can live exceptional lives. No, but seriously, that's like the alternative that we're facing now. And that's why greed is facing its probably biggest foe it's ever faced. And I mean, seriously, like I meant it when I said that psychologically, without even realizing, each and every one of us is rationing without realizing it. We're getting used to a new zone. Like the luxuries are expensive. We still have access, but I can't exactly buy it. There was an article I mentioned today on my live stream that made me kind of sick, but it also made me laugh. It was called $34 chicken wings. Okay. Pizzeria in the United States. I think he was out of New Jersey. Pre-pandemic, $13.95 for a 15-piece chicken wing. Now his menu doesn't have a price. It says market price, which apparently that's how lobsters are traded. I don't know. So I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, and now he says that he's charging about 27 or whatever it was, $27 for 15 wings, and he's making nothing. And that if he were to bring his margins back for 15 chicken wings, the only way he can stay in business is at $35, $34 or whatever.
I don't know. $34 chicken wings will not fly with me.
Keep this in mind, Candace. That's 34 American, dude.
Yeah.
That's 15. That's 50 bones. It's insane.
It was a joke about flying.
I know. I liked it, Candace.
Yeah.
I liked it. It was a good one.
This is scary.
Don't worry about the House of Commons one, but the one going through the Senate is where they're going to really kind of fine tooth or go with a fine tooth comb. And you know what's scary and so corrupt, by the way? So you know when Jagmeet Singh qualifies for his early retirement pension? 2025. When does the NDP Liberal Coalition end? 2025. Almost everyone in their party gets their mega pensions 2025. Let's just not think that they're in this for us. They're in this for themselves. Yeah. They're in this for the mega money, the mega pension. They live the rest of their lives not freeloading, but let's be real.
Maybe that's what the new employment's going to be. Everyone's going to be a politician.
Yeah, you might as well at this point.
And we're going to saturate the political scene with so many parties that will always be in a state of minority, and it'll be an underground political arena.
Oh yeah.
Is the internet acting up on? So right now,
it's off and on. I'm just giving you a heads
crystal
up.
Clear. Okay, cool.
It goes on my end first.
Also, Len just said Senate bill. So he said that they're identical bills. Senate bill passed, or is that second reading, which is not good. Well, if you're anti-UBI.
Well, I'm surprised too, because I think it was a private members bill, which is odd for that to make it. Normally, private members bills don't.
Was it a liberal who was exiled? Like, because this is what kind of private members bill? I mean, who's a private member in the House of Commons? I don't even know. Maxime Bernier used to be one, and then there was like another guy. And
well, no, a private members bill. Anybody can do it. It's just not being presented by a party per se. So if an individual wants to submit a bill, they can still be sitting with the liberals, but they can submit their own bill.
Sorry. I thought you were talking independent. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, private members bill. That's what I was saying.
Sorry, yeah, I got that mixed up. Yeah, Maxine kind of went far. Like, I'm pretty right wing. Like, I'm a very proud conservative, and Maxime Bernier went pure Trump, which doesn't exactly work in Canada because we don't have the same vibe here. So that's where he went, bro. To give you an idea.
I was listening to some of the stuff on Fox Business today, just because I tune in every morning just before the opening bell, and I heard that there are some states. I think Pennsylvania is coming up that they don't. There's some states that are short of setting up for the primaries in the fall that are actually losing their Republican status, and they're going Democrat. What do you think about that? You think that's going to happen? You think that the primaries are not going to be a big walkover like everyone's anticipating?
Everyone's been overhyping it. I don't think it's actually going to be the slam show that they think. I do believe Republicans are going to pick up seats. I mean, look, when Donald Trump had his midterms, they thought it was a blue wave. Do we all remember hearing that? The blue wave. It was anything but a handful of seats, right? I think this red frickin' brigade, whatever they're calling it, they're hyping it up. Look, I'm a conservative, but they're hyping it up. Like, I think it's almost detrimental that they hype it up like that, and I wish they wouldn't because it goes against. They don't have to do that. But anyway, no, it's overblown. I think Republicans are going to win seats in both areas, but nowhere near this red BS wave that they're talking about. Like, no.
It's funny that every time, like, I don't know, Candace, if it's evolving down there in Ottawa, but whenever we get an election, especially a provincial election, there seems to be another sort of different flavor of party that pops up, and now it's the new blue party. Have you got those down there?
I haven't personally seen any, but I don't know. I watched the provincial leadership debate the other night, and believe it or not, I thought the only person who even made any remote sense was actually Ford. The others
it's because he's a liberal.
Well, he's a conservative.
What?
Oh, okay, Ford. Just like Jean Charest is. Okay, no, you know what I mean. I know what
you mean. But
he honestly, Doug Ford is the perfect thing for Ontario because he does have a bit of conservatism in him, but he absolutely knows where the masses lie. I think he's a smart politician. Like, I'd wish he was more conservative. He's not at all, but he knows where to play the game. And that's what I was in the minority in Ontario. So why would he play to me? You know what I mean? And I mean that honestly. Like, I mean, why play to me? So I think Doug Ford's probably going to win it again. What do you guys think about it? Because I watched it and I thought it's not over for the Dems just because Elon said that. Although the Democrats are having a really unique time right now.
That's the lowest approval rating a president's ever had, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
He's really bad.
It's actually interesting. Before Elon tweeted it, he tweeted out first that he's expecting to get attacked by politicians. And then he does the tweet where he says he's going to vote Republican.
Candace, did you see...
Dr. Oz is running in Pennsylvania. What the hell's with that crap?
Yeah, I just saw that the other day. I had no clue.
What the hell?
So apparently he's a massive Trumper, and him and Trump are like super good best friends. But I didn't even know that he was running. But actually, Pennsylvania, I was watching this. I'm a news freak. I do this 24/7. I was watching it. The results in Pennsylvania were so damn close that basically we had to institute a recount. We don't know who's going to win that whatsoever. It's so freaking close, but something to be said. The last person supported by Trump, I believe, lost.
Yeah.
So now the next person is Dr. Oz. He
And
is supported. He might lose.
I have a hard time seeing Dr. Oz on the Senate floor trying to tuck everybody into ordering some of his supplements.
You know what though, and that's one thing I've always wondered is like, because do we judge celebrities as being totally dipshit losers?
Depends.
It's like I thought Dr. Oz was a dipshit. It
started with Sonny Bono.
Because I didn't even know Dr. Oz had these thoughts, or any of the other people who are, you know what I mean? And I'm just like, it always makes me wonder. Like we don't.
Well, I mean, we've had some.
Know.
I mean, there's people like, if you want to go really far back, you've got Ronald Reagan. I mean, he did a half decent job as a president. You had Arnold Schwarzenegger, which you almost would assume would have been horrible as a governor, but he seemed to hold his own. People loved him.
Do you guys remember Jesse Ventura out of Minnesota?
He was a governor as well.
Yes.
Wow.
That's a name to bring up, but if you want to bring up Jesse Ventura, get ready for the most whack comments you're going to find on your YouTube channel. Known to man, dude. Known to man. Do you ever hear that guy like lately? I'll say this. If I see his face and he's got a new clip, I'll listen to it because it's insane. And it's like entertaining to me. And
Is
I'm
he
a right-wing
still governor?
Guy. No, he's not. No, he hasn't been governor for like ever. But he's on the conspiracy train like you have never seen.
Oh, like with Ted Nugent?
Dude.
Yeah.
He's like with the Nuge, right?
See, now Panda thinks that Trump is coming back, but I don't know. I don't think the Republicans will let him on the ticket.
Quite honestly, I would never bet against, after seeing what he did to Hillary Clinton, I wouldn't bet against Trump coming on the ticket. Although I will say that Governor Ron DeSantis is significantly more balanced, even though his ideas are borderline the exact same. His communication style is a lot easier to take. And even like people might not like hearing what he says about Disney, but he says it one way. Donald Trump would have said, fuck Disney. And he would have walked off, right? It would like that. There's two totally different people, but they are thinking almost identical. I don't think it would matter to the conservative base if either one of them was on the ticket. In my opinion, I'd prefer Ron DeSantis because I could see it being having more longevity. But it's always fun watching Trump talk.
I'll be go to a leadership race for the PCs.
I will definitely. Well, I know Trump. I will definitely give him the A+ when it comes to amusement. He was fun. He was fun to watch because you never knew what he was going to say.
But people also fail to recognize, though, too, is like a lot of why I think people hate him is because of how easy it was for us to fall for him. And that's how much of a pro he really is at communicating. It might be a crude way of communicating, but his style is so effective that I think that's what triggered a lot of people. I mean, no one can deny that this guy can get a message across and have 50 million people rally behind it at the snap of a finger. So as much as we hate it or love it, look, I didn't like the way Hillary Clinton could do that either. But it's going to be like 2022. I was saying this on my live stream. We've got the perfect storm here because by the time we get second quarter GDP numbers, which will confirm or deny a recession in the United States, that exact same time, we get the rate hike in the United States. Okay. Or is he going to rug pull us and go against his word? Is he going to stick to the half a point right around that same time? Then after all that negative bullshit, we've got a couple of months to lead up to the midterm elections where we're going to be literally force-fed, you know what, down our throat. What's that going to do to the green industry? Could do amazing things because I've talked about political trading on my channel forever. Could do amazing things. But this is going to be a long year and a brutal one, and it's going to be the year of accumulation. This is going to be one year that I guarantee you in 10 years, if we all talk again, we're going to look back and this one's going to be the one we remember. Midterms are going to make this market especially interesting because you're going to hear the BS pushed to try and boost the markets, right? Oh, unemployment's not that bad. Our market's not that bad. That's what happens every single time from the right and the left. So it'll be so interesting because we have the worst economic results ever happening just before midterm elections. Oh, this is amazing. This is entertainment, folks. I don't know. I'm a news junk. This is pure entertainment. What's going to happen in 2022 is going to be amazing. Absolutely amazing to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And it'll be really interesting because even if we are technically in a recession after the next quarter, there's still an organization in the US that has to call it. And if they don't call it, you know, the government could put pressure on them and say, let's not call it. Let's wait till after the midterm.
Okay, I've read something about that. The only thing I can say to that is it's almost so baked in that a recession is a recession is a recession.
That's hopefully the way it is. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that would be such manipulation that it would be insane.
But I had heard something, and I only partially heard it about the first quarter, that somebody had reported some numbers that were wrong that might actually readjust their numbers to not be a loss. But I only caught a little piece of it, so I have to find that and find out what that is, because that would be very interesting.
I thought it was.
I
don't know that the numbers have ever been right ever since they started publishing them, just for the fear of active political gain.
Sorry, Tim, can you repeat that?
I don't think the numbers have probably been accurate for decades because of the political gain involved with them.
It weighs on me all the time. Are we just playing a fool's game here sometimes? You know what I mean?
Yeah, we are.
We invest in things that we do all this research into, we put all this energy into, and at the end of the day, it literally means dick. I mean, it means nothing. Like, it's mind-blowing sometimes.
Maybe. Might be just the Illuminati sitting back there going, this is how it's going to be.
Well, you know, they're saying that the gas prices are going to come down in price. And as I said to you, what are we in, May? As I said to you back in February, March, I said this is all part of the desensitization program, where they put it up to some ridiculous thing where they're holding your head underwater, and they push it and they push it and they push it, you know, to $2 like 30 cents. Let's just say $2.30 a liter, right? When they want to know that they want a new base price overall in the end of $1.80. That's where they're going to come back down to. And it's like, and we go, oh my gosh, what a deal. And it's like, no, don't. A deal is not $1.80. A deal was when it was way back around $1. And it's just that you want to talk about manipulation. That's crap. That's absolute crap.
Yeah. Well, I think they're going to hold us up high for a little bit longer than just
into the summer. It's supposed to hit $2.60.
Yeah.
God help you folks if you own a boat. That marine fuel is going to be astronomical.
No.
On the bright side, your arms will get really toned as you learn to paddle.
I know this family, and I'm not going to, well, it doesn't matter anyway, but I know this family who owns a marina in Ontario. Actually, it was an ex-girlfriend, so that's why I'm definitely not going to mention the name. Anyway, so I followed, and she's cool. It's not about that. I just don't want to mention the name. And so I followed this thing. And yeah, I guess because of prices, vacancies for boat slips through the freaking roof. Okay. People are selling everything, and that's their livelihood. If you own a campground and there's no trailers, you make no money, you go bankrupt. You own a marina and there's no slips filled, you go bankrupt. It's as simple as that. And it's like people aren't realizing that we're thinking, it's like we're trying to convince ourselves that we're getting close to the bottom. And it's like, guys, we've just started phase one. Like this is just us getting used to this. I mentioned it today in my live stream. The United Kingdom, member of parliament, said, I hope the British population is ready because, and I love how literal and dramatic their English language is when used by the British, but they're like, I hope the British people are ready because food prices will be apocalyptic in the months to come. And it's like, we know this though already. We have no fertilizer. We have no wheat. You know what I mean? Canadian companies can't pump out enough. I didn't get a chance to bring up an article, but CF or CM, one of those fertilizer, it's a company, I think it's CF, said flat out that if American and Canadian farmers don't want to pay their prices, this is obviously they didn't say it like this, but it was basically a go F yourself because we have everyone else overseas who's going to pay exactly what I want. And it was like, that made me think of Nutrien, which I own. I got to add more to it. And then that CF company that I just learned about today. So it was like, I don't know, it's interesting, but food prices, for anyone who thinks that we're coming close to a bottom and we see these rallies where stocks go up 5%, get over it. It is over.
It's interesting. There was a post on the Sauble community group up in Sauble today about buy local. And it goes back to, what Nate and what Ken talk about going to your local farmers or your local people and establishing relationships, so on and so forth. And I didn't read it all, and I've asked them for more details because it wasn't something that was public. It was on a private group. But they said that you could do it and prices were locked for 3 years. And it was like, okay. And this was to get local stuff. Interesting that might be the way things happen now. And do we start to see more of those companies? Is that a new business model?
How could you lock it in for 3 years?
If you lock something in for 3 years and these prices go insane, that company's going to go out of business.
Even if it's local, even if it's a co-op,
they go out of business, and then you've got nothing.
That's the dumbest thing, especially in this market. Locking in, ridiculous. Locking into a commodity price right now. Oh my God, that's dumb. I mean, look, it could benefit them if the market crashed, but then at the same time, no one would want to pay them, and they would just abandon that company and pay whatever exit contract fee they had. Like, there's no scenario.
So going on to something else, Candace, with Gates selling off, he sold off CN, right?
I've heard that. I don't know exactly how much.
Okay, because I was going to ask if that had any effect on it.
They still own 9%.
Yeah, they still own a good amount. I mean, CN's down a little bit right now, but nothing to be even concerned about. I'm still pretty bullish on CN. CN, I think, is a very safe recession stock. So
a lot of what he's doing, we have to keep this in mind. A lot of them rebalance their portfolio. So if CN does get excessively expensive, he has no choice but to sell some CN to maintain his risk portfolio, right? So that's like a guidance thing by his financial managers. It might not even be that he wants to go. But
Gary says he gave it to his ex.
And also, if you're looking at a portfolio heading into a recession, one of the rebalancing is to make sure that you're not over equity, because if you have everything in equity, that's going to probably hurt you a bit more. You want to hedge against it. You want some different fixed income, maybe even a bit of cash in that portfolio. So he may have been moving just in that direction as well, just to balance that out.
Then that's a telltale sign if the big guy's doing it. That's a telltale sign of something's in the works, right?
Well, it's a sign that he's smart and that he's preparing in case it happens.
They don't prepare in case. They're the ones who prepare because, right?
But at the same time, you've got Warren Buffett, who's just going on a shopping spree with all of the cheaper stuff.
Yeah, but he's not buying a lot of crazy stuff. He's put a lot of money into like Occidental, so gas and oil. He's put a lot of money back into Apple. He's put a lot of money back into Coca-Cola.
Oh, and he bought a lot of Chevron too. So
Chevron, another oil. Yeah, Chevron's another big one. So it's not like he's even going speculative or anything. He's kind of maintaining him. You know how many people last year were making fun of Warren Buffett because he doesn't like Bitcoin? I don't care. He didn't buy Bitcoin.
He just bought Bitcoin.
Warren Buffett's never going to buy Bitcoin.
No, he hasn't bought Bitcoin. He has a small
Brazilian exchange.
Yeah, he has a small stake in another company.
Firstly, it's a Brazilian bank that happens to deal with Bitcoin too.
But he's not touching the Bitcoin part himself.
Yeah.
Warren Buffett
But it's in his portfolio.
It's a Brazilian bank, dude, that has so little to do with Bitcoin. It's not even funny. Bitcoin just happens to be in that.
It's one of those things that Bitcoin bulls will jump on to say, here's proof. The thing about Warren Buffett you have to realize is he is he's basically like the outcome of a fundamental analysis. So he will analyze every single aspect of the cash flow of these companies. There's no way he's even going to move outside of something that would be blue chip. There may be a couple of exceptions. I think he has a bunch of shares in a company that he has a lot of faith in, run by one of his friends. But outside of that, most companies that he does have are pretty blue chip. The only exception, of course, is he's got a big stake in Activision Blizzard because of that whole purchasing. Now, he was in them before Microsoft had announced that they were going to buy them as well, but he got in a lot more once that merger, the acquisition became known. And it makes sense because right now you can buy Activision Blizzard for, I think today it was around $77 US. And once Microsoft finishes the completion, they're buying those shares for $95. So if you think about it, that's almost $20 US, and that's not investing per se. That's just what you're going to get. Doesn't matter where that price goes. So that's kind of it's almost like free money in many ways. And Warren Buffett, I mean, I know in the interview when he was going over his portfolio, he said he's very, very confident that that deal is going to go through. So, you know, he's not somebody who would just lightly say something like that if he didn't do all of the background work on it.
Are these REITs like Choice Properties and all of these people? Are they still a good deal to invest in with what we're potentially facing with bankruptcies and vacancies and this and that?
Well, you want to look at what their holdings are, right?
Yeah, that's because I was going to say, like, Choice is significantly total polar opposites to the risk portfolio to like RioCan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Choice would probably be one of the safer ones given that REIT, but yeah, it's all hold. Yeah, Candace, you know a lot about this. Like, go for it.
That's the thing. You want to look at their holdings. You want to see what they're holding. Now, if they are holding a lot of residential and business, but they're not holding they're not holding any commercial properties, any big name properties, then they're a lot more riskier than if you're buying a REIT that's holding things like Walmart. You know, Walmart's not going anywhere.
No. Like Slate and Choice are probably two of the safest ones I'd get into. Right? Not that I'd get into it, but Slate is a grocery in America. Choice is primarily Loblaws and Roll and Go, whatever.
Another one I like too is CRT. They're the one that's owned by Canadian Tire, because basically Canadian Tire decided to follow the McDonald's business model. So McDonald's makes all of their money by real estate because to get a franchise, you have to rent from them. It's the same thing with Canadian Tire, and that's all run through their REIT. So it's a very nice REIT. It's been going up in value, and it's not like a fake, because when you look at RioCan went up incredibly in volume, but when you trace RioCan far enough back, you'll see that that's just the giant fall they took at the beginning of the illness, and then they've recouped it all back. So there's not a lot more runway for them. CRT, even going back beyond the illness, they've been going up really steadily the whole time, and I think it's just the business model that Canadian Tire has been using with them. So they look to be very stable, and I don't think Canadian Tire is a company that's going anywhere.
Beautiful thing too is they've signed leases that far exceed the amount of economic impact we're going to experience in the next 2 years anyway.
A lot of them are on like 64-year leases.
Yeah, so it's irrelevant. So yeah, the downside is a lot lower. In fact, on CRT, for instance, any opportunity for downside would just be the ultimate buying opportunity. Exactly. For a model like that. Yeah. So good REIT. But once again, because it's a REIT, you want to keep it in one of your registered accounts. Otherwise, you're going to be paying full taxes on the returns on them.
I'm not sure I understand.
Sorry, Siri, I wasn't talking to you.
It's okay.
That psycho. She's been listening.
And now for our section. And now for our part of the program where Candace talks to her watch.
I know.
AC Dats is saying CRT pays almost 5%. Most really consistent, safe REITs, honestly, pay between 4 and 5%. Like, and most bigger ones. Yeah,
exactly. And with CRT, when you actually look at the amount of growth that they do experience, because a lot of REITs tend to not be growing, they tend to sort of keep the same space, and you're just really getting the dividend. CRT is one of the ones that is an exception to that. So you're also getting that growth on top of that. So it's definitely, I think, for REIT wise, definitely a good buy.
Well, interesting.
Yes.
I'm not talking about crypto. All I'm just saying is I keep on buying. I've gone back to now using more of my Visa prepaid so I can get more Bitcoin at these prices.
You have to at these prices. Yeah.
Oh, even at 1%, even if I'm only getting 1% back, I mean, it's still You know,
I
my
know.
Visa was
Just
giving me
keep
1%
in mind
or
that-
1.5%. So what's the diff?
But that 1% at these prices is equivalent to 2.5% at the all-time high, right? So just because if they pay according to Canadian dollar, not Bitcoin, right? So you have to keep that in mind. You really are. And if you're still on the 2% or the welcome bonus of 4%, you're double dipping your chip on levels that are unheard of right now. Okay. Considering what we blew our welcome bonuses at all-time highs. So if you're going through your 4% welcome bonus at this price, that would have been like me getting 8% when I started. So that's a fact. So keep that in mind. Like, I can't sell any of my free Bitcoin anymore because the price is too too depressed.
Now's that point in time that if you've got Bitcoin, you want to be sitting on it. Even if you're desperate for cash, go out and collect some pop bottles or something. Just don't sell your Bitcoin.
Yeah, Gary's at 267 days.
Oh, you son of a gun! I'm at 93.
I think
I'm consistent. I'm consistently at 1.
I'm up to 62 again, so I'm happy. I haven't entered it yet in a bit.
You know what though, Tim? You laugh at that, dude, but the amount of Bitcoin I've got for free from shaking my phone is no laughing matter, bro.
I know.
It's literally. I mean, actually, just for giggles, guys, I'll do this mental math in my head because the mental math is easy for me. Let me bring this up. So I'm on my Shakepay app. I don't carry much in Shakepay. So I got nothing in there right now. So let me shake my phone, okay? Wait, shake. So I'm at, what is that? So 255,000 Satoshis. So 255,000 Satoshis. What is the price of Bitcoin? It's 30, let's just say 40,000 is Canadian is the price of Bitcoin. So that would be 400 for a million. That would be 100 for 250,000, but it's less than 40,000. So a couple of bucks.
I'm at 270,000.
So you're over 100 bones in shaking alone.
Yeah.
Or you're about $100 in shaking alone. I'm roughly 90.
You just made $100 on that one shake? No.
I'm saying in total, I've made about 90.
No, but that what did that one shake? What did that one shake earn you?
720 Satoshis is what.
I don't know. Last week I got a bonus shake. They gave me a shake and they gave me 100 Satoshis just to go follow them on Twitter.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
You do it. It's free money, dude.
I know. And I mean, I was already following them on Twitter.
I'm already giving them $10 a day in Satoshis.
But you know what's funny is that you invest in Bitcoin thinking it's going to hit $1 million one day. And if it hits $1 million one day, and every time you shake for 1,000 Satoshis, you're collecting $10. How stupid are you not taking 2 seconds of your time to shake for $10? If you're following what you believe Bitcoin will get to, right? That's all I'm saying, everyone. Not calling out Tim. I'm saying for everyone who doesn't believe in the shaking the thing, we buy Bitcoin because we believe it's going to go up. So if it goes up, it means that every time we shake today, 3, 4, 5x that, 10x that, whatever, and that's what you're paid when you actually cash that Bitcoin out. I know Tim doesn't like me to bust his balls on it, but I have to because if it hits $1 million, every shake is $10 you could have had, dude.
I think one of the reasons I've shut it off in my mind is because I know I've got a recurring buy every day. So I just, you're absolutely right. It's like if there was a dime on the ground, would you not pick it up? And I do. And, you know, I know.
I get it, dude. You know what? I'm lucky I haven't forgot. I've forgotten my streak 100 times now already. Like I'm so lucky I'm on day 93, dude. I'm like counting.
Look at Redbeard in chat. He's up to 410 days.
This guy's got determination.
Jesus.
Holy crap. Yeah, both him and Gary, massive determination. Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, Tim, Gary, he just said he's still Oh, yeah, Tim, where's the update? We should do that.
I know, I haven't kept it up. And I'll be honest with you, folks, twice since I've started, I've missed 2 separate days because I forgot to top out recharge the bank account.
No, that's fine.
So I missed like two or 3 days out of the whole thing. But when Bitcoin, what was it, a month ago, I put in another recurring buy for 2 hours later. So as I said to you before, I've got one at 6:15 and one around 9 o'clock at night for $5 each every day.
I just opened one up to see how the month goes. I'm at $15 and I'm forgetting every aspect of my Bitcoin balance from here on out. Like I'm not even going to think about it. $15. It is what it is. The Bitcoin price is depressed enough. Oh, by the way, I finally convinced my mother to buy a full Bitcoin. But her condition is it has to get to 15K. I told her, what if it hit 17,519? She's like, maybe a half. So I got her on the hook. I've orange pilled someone for at least a half a Bitcoin if we see it crash. I did my part.
I don't know if it's going to happen.
Me neither. Who knows? No one knows.
Yeah.
No one knows. Robert Kiyosaki seems to think it's going to happen.
Oh, well, Jesus.
I know. He's a little bit off the chains, eh? You guys were loving him at the beginning. Now I find him to be a little bit like...
I did love him at the beginning, but now I just think he's
he's a little bit...
I think he's just going down the ropes of Uncle Joe.
Yeah.
Well, he perpetuates the same message over and over again. And it's like...
Once an influencer to me starts doing that, done. I'm out of there. It's like,
you know what's funny?
I can't. It's like it's the same reason I don't listen to news talk radio is because, or it's like watching CP24. It's like, oh my god, I've just saw that go across there. What's new news? I don't want to see news repeated until something changes in the news world. That does not interest me, and that's wasting my time.
It's true. Okay, now
personally, that's a personal opinion.
Speaking about a giant waste of time, to get your consensus on this one, look, I don't care what anybody thinks about this. This has nothing to do with financial stuff, okay? And we can change the topic if you're not into it. I'm just very curious because I'd be willing to bet 60% of you are getting updates at least semi-daily. What's up with this Amber Heard and Johnny Depp trial? It's freaking nuts. Am I the only one who's watching the clips? I can't.
I'm not watching them.
Honestly, I've not watched a single clip yet.
What?
Not a single one.
I watched a couple of clips at the very, very beginning that were made into jokes, but I see it come up on YouTube because it's in the same line that your stuff comes up on, and it's
that comes up in the same area that mine does.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
No, I see it. It's in my feed all the time, but I'm just like,
it's in your feed.
You know, do I go figure out what this is? Or, look, there's...
Dude, I'm telling you, I find myself, I'll click it when I'm outside, and I'm just listening to these people, and it's like listening to, speaking about for 5 hours, taking a dump on a bed, and there's, 90 witnesses that they're calling up about it. Dude, just trust me.
There was dumping?
Yeah, she took a deuce on his bed.
Oh, God almighty.
It's funny. Honestly, it's a pretty wild one. No, it's a pretty wild one, I'll be honest.
You know what? You know who he reminds me of now? He's almost turned into a pre-Keith Richards.
Oh.
You know, with the way he talks and the way he's like that slur. You know how he's got that slur? Because that's what he based his character in Pirates of the Caribbean off of was Keith Richards, right? Yeah.
I'm glad at least Taylor's with me here because I'm watching some clips and I'm listening to it and I'm just like, this is one that killed me today, okay? Look, I don't want to get into this. We can change topic in 1 second. She calls a witness, her friend, okay, whatever. It's her friend. And then Johnny Depp's lawyers are like, so how many people did she invite to her apartment super late at night? How many men? He's like, I have no clue. He's like, over 10? Her friend is like, oh, yeah, way over 10. And they're like, this is when Johnny Depp left, though, right? This was secret stuff. Oh, yeah. Over 20? Oh, over 20. Over 30? Oh, way over 30. And then they're like, over 50? He's like, I don't know about 50, but... and I'm like, oh, my God. Wow. This is hilarious. Oh,
if Johnny Depp ever makes movies again and they suck, I'd be afraid to dump on it.
That's funny. You know what? I bet you though his next movie is going to be a freaking massive.
Sure, but I probably wouldn't be surprised.
That's ridiculous.
Wait, what did you say?
Did Disney let him go?
Yeah, but they've offered him to come back now. But Johnny Depp said that he's not coming back, so he's gone. Yeah.
Well,
he said, "quote in court, he's like, I wouldn't go back to Disney for $300 million." So he's obviously feeling very pissed about this whole scenario. And he's clearly spending every dime he has to bring up every bit of dirt. And I'm telling you, it's mental, dude. When you see it, it's like, okay, because you very rarely see someone caught in lies, but when they're caught in lies on national TV, it's a train wreck. It's just funny to watch. The clips are funny. I know you guys aren't watching it, but I had to ask.
No,
now I kind of want to watch.
Farina says that Amber did a line of coke, and it was in like a Kleenex or something, wasn't it?
Well, that's if she. I mean, it looked like she did.
Yeah.
Well, it's because who the heck blows their nose by covering? Well, actually, you never know.
Yeah.
You never know.
I mean, if
Yeah.
you've got a bunch caught on one side and you don't want the other side's fine.
True. Exactly. No, exactly. That's what I was saying. You never know. But I'll be honest. If you were to do cocaine, that's exactly how it would look. That's all I'm saying.
I don't understand. I can understand how OJ made CNN and all this live court action. What in God's name is Depp-Heard doing
because this is basically the death of the Me Too movement right now.
Yeah.
This is
also
like
a slow news week.
Yeah,
Need Russia to new.
They've got 1 million people watching their life. Get this: there's like 2 or 3 times more people watching the trial than there are watching primetime CNN. Like, it's massive. But I think it's the whole Me Too stuff. I mean, that was wild for a while, and I knew it because it would only be a matter of time that, and this is just my opinion, that there was someone wrongly accused. I believe Johnny Depp is wrongly accused. I've watched enough, so I have my opinion, but I feel like he's just the one who said no, and that this is why it's so popular. That's my only gut instinct on it, is because she went so hard against him, and he said no. So it's just a mass. And it's also freaking Captain Jack Sparrow, for God's sakes. I mean...
Well, I mean, the only thing, the Me Too whole movement sort of reminded me of the Salem witch trials. Like, all you had to do is level an accusation and you've ruined that other person. I strongly believe in...
It's like, hey, Ryan, you ever slapped a girl's butt? Yeah, I have. Me too'd. No, I'm telling you, but that's how aggressive it was, though. That's how aggressive it was. Look, I've been a teenager, so have you, Tim. Okay, let's get over it. No, but Tim wants to cut me off. But straight up,
I tried to remember that far back.
Sorry?
I said he was trying to remember that far back.
Oh,
you're killing me.
Anyway, outside of the Depp fun, it's fun to watch. That's all I wanted to say.
Neat. Looks like
very
much more interesting than I realized.
You'll laugh. You're not going to find it interesting, but you're going to laugh.
Probably.
I don't know. Well, we got a couple more minutes left here, and then we are going to wind up the first live broadcast of the Danter Banter as my dog sniffs around the house. I have no idea what the hell he's up to. Candace, you have the normal stuff going on this week.
Tomorrow is a deep dive on Bank of Nova Scotia.
Okay.
And then I'm sure there'll be plenty of news for the weekend this week, and we'll be back at it again Monday, starting a brand new week with another video.
Cool.
Yeah.
And you're still at Mountain Finance, right?
Yeah, that's not changing. My background changed on the videos. I've gone to a different background.
Yeah. What? By the way, what is the answer to the equation formula on the back?
7. You can't tell?
42.
42. I screwed up. Damn it.
You forgot to carry the 6.
I forgot to carry the 6. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Ryan, what do you got going on?
The huge. And I'm getting hustled by Meet Kevin right now, badly in negotiations for something, because I want him on my channel. Never thought he would respond. He did. And he is hustling my ass for negotiations. I've been bringing it up for 2 live streams in a row now. I got this guy trying to hustle me for $2,000 an hour is his rate. Look, I mean, anyway, so that's what I've been trying to deal with this week.
He wants to come on to your show and you pay him.
I want him to come on to my show.
And he's going to charge you $2,000 an hour.
That's what he charges everyone. That's what we're dealing with right now. I'm multiple emails deep negotiating with this guy. And he's worth $26 million. He doesn't need me. So
Oh,
you can
Meet Kevin, pardon me. I'm thinking of the other guy. Oh, never mind.
Graham Stephan.
Oh, he's a loser.
No,
But no,
who was the other YouTuber that killed himself?
what?
No, didn't kill himself literally. He
Okay.
Moving on.
Well, anyway, Meet Kevin drives a hard bargain, and it's next to impossible to negotiate with this cat. But that's what I'm dealing with right now because I want to get a 5-part video series, a 1 week of Meet Kevin and Ryan chalking, basically. But the whole deal is that there's no stocks involved. I just simply want him to give his advice on Canadian real estate. His insight on Canadian real estate because he's a real estate freak, and then Canadian stuff exclusive to High Rye. And then one of those episodes, I wanted to have Meet Kevin read off questions from the community in a rapid fire for 15 minutes flat. But that's $2,200 Canadian I'm going to pay. It's roughly $2,000 an hour. I'm paying this guy. 2,000 American, because 2,200 Canadian gets me 45 minutes.
Yeah.
45 minutes. Yeah. So that's what I'm dealing with on this guy. I've managed to knock off $150 over 6 emails. So
Okay.
I have a feeling that it's not. Yeah. And I'm a pretty friggin' good negotiator. So I have a feeling that, he's going to give me a run for my money.
Well, it'll be interesting if you get him on.
I've got to take a plunge and put money into the business at some point, right? Takes money to make.
You got to spend to make, right? That's that was the one thing that I did when I owned my companies in the driving school was when we got into bad or lower, not so good times, we would say you got to ramp up the marketing and the advertising. You got to spend money to make money, right? So
for sure. And Taylor's saying he's hustling you. He is already booked, and I have to give him a month and a half's notice if I want this time. So it's like, and people always say like, oh, that's insane. I'm never going to give someone who makes 26 million bucks advice, nor am I going to pretend like I could give them advice. And if that's his rate and he doesn't need me, he'll ignore me, right? I got to think about my business and putting money into my business. And I think it could be a cool Monday to Friday because I would film it all in one and kind of separate it in small chunks. And I would just have Monday to Friday, just every day, Meet Kevin video on a new topic with High Rye, the last day being him just going nonstop.
Now, why don't you do it all in 1 week? Why don't you peter it out over 2 weeks just to sort of keep the interest and the hype alive?
Yeah, I don't know how I'm going to play that out yet. But yeah, no, it's a good, it's just because when you have it going back to, it's just such a slam. But I know what you mean too, though, because like after the fact, right?
Yeah, because you want to really get your money, because this will be something that will draw people in too. So,
yeah, Jill's saying I would do it. I think people. It's funny because I ran a YouTube poll. 62% said don't do it, but I'm gonna do it, and I think I just finally have to put money into this business if I want to see it grow beyond where I'm at right now. So. Not to mention, if I can get Meet Kevin on 5 videos, seemingly, it'll be a lot easier for me to get on the Kevin O'Leary's or the CEOs and all that kind of stuff, right? Yeah. It'll be like that credibility portfolio. So
I think you should do it.
Yeah, but it's expensive, but
yeah,
it's okay. Anyway, that's all I'm dealing with.
Well, you can probably write it off though on your taxes.
I can write it off, yeah, but it's still, I mean, Jesus Christ, $2,000 American an hour, like, come on. But yeah, no, I mean. You know what? If I ever pay that, I'm going to say it at the beginning of my video, Kevin, that you friggin' robbed me. But the only reason I feel good about it is because I'm going to make that one day myself. That's the only justification I can possibly give to that. But anyway, that's all I'm doing, Tim. I know I dragged that out, but that's all I'm doing.
No, that's fine. That's totally fine. Yeah. I mean, I'm ramping up, trying to keep the dad jokes going on all the platforms going. Some of them are lame. Some of them are okay. Some of them have to be explained. You know.
You know what I love about your dad?
And some of them are just absolutely gut-wrenching funny, but yeah. I get paranoid that I'm going to really insult someone by doing that. Or
your best dad joke to date is that one about burying the person in your backyard. That's the best one.
I don't know. I like the one where Nancy in the background was like, "I don't get it," and he's like, "Is this the punchline?" I died. Yeah. I laughed immediately. I don't know. I'm vibing with it. I liked it.
Yeah, I had someone go, well, what does that mean, punchline? I'm like, oh.
You had someone ask you what punchline means? Listen, if they do it, it means don't ever explain the joke. Otherwise, it dies.
But you see, here's the
Let it
advantage though.
stand.
If it's not clear cut exactly what you mean, then you're probably going to get the person watching it a couple of times as they're trying to figure it out. So that's good for you, actually.
Well, you know what's
Yep.
good for you is that these shorts have increased your sub count.
Yeah, they're getting there. They're getting there. I have to.
Once you get dude, I'm telling you right now, I used to do 10 to 15 minute videos religiously, right? My highest click-through rate video I've done to date was 5 minutes long. The second best video was 3. So if all you want to do is like short little bangers, dude, that'll blow you up too. Now that you're used to making a short every day, because you put a lot of editing into those little punching bags that are like, you know what I mean? I'm watching it. It's funny. Are you doing
Yeah,
it on
we'll
TikTok?
see. We'll see. I'm also trying to the one thing that I've always wanted to do, and now that it's summertime, is to get, I don't know whether it's a GoPro 360 or whatever the case is, and throw it in the car and do some commentary and do some dad jokes about that too. Like some of the stuff that was going on the roads today was unbelievable. Some of the daredevil moves going on the road today, and I'm shaking. This was in Brantford of all places.
Wow.
You know, and you don't know the community very well, but for those of you who know Brantford, it's like you wouldn't expect to see a Brampton in a Brantford. You'd get it if you're from this part of town.
Yeah,
but
that's a
Is
small
it
town
Brantford
or
like a
Ontario
type
up
of vehicle? Is that why it's funny?
no, it's a community.
there.
Oh,
Gotta live
Yeah.
locally.
Yeah, it's local, but no. But I was going to do that, and I just thought I'm trying to figure out how I can do it because I'd love to stream live from that. Because having to record that and then go through all of the editing of that to pick out the good parts of it would kill me time wise.
Okay, can I tell you guys something? And I know each of us has our different style, but everyone here has a YouTube channel. Honest to God, I have made more, if not the same, but definitely not less, okay, from videos that I don't edit. And I mean that. Like over editing, I found has killed so many of my videos. Like over editing. So you tend to front load your editing, and then you're like, that's also distracting. I'm just putting it out there, Tim. If you don't like editing, I've realized, I mean, the videos that are doing the best for me in the last 3 months, and I haven't done many in the last 3 months, videos, there's like no editing involved. You guys know how much I hate this.
Yeah.
No editing, same views, if not more views. Like if they're
It's just tough because I have to hit a button as I'm driving, right? And then all of a sudden it's like I don't have the luxury. Like I'm live and I'm the one who would have to, push a button before I start out, and then I couldn't shut it off until I pull over again.
I mean, and plus you've got a very loyal fan base. I mean, you could show up and sleep through the entire stream wearing a penguin suit and people would still watch.
But that's every one of us, though, straight up. Like, that's the thing is when you build a community, it doesn't matter. You can be yourself. That's the freedom in building your own community. Zach said, right, what impressed me about Kevin is he does a one-take 20-minute video. It's nuts. This is the thing too, is I am not able to do that. And I know Candace does pretty well at scripting. I'm not able to script. Like for me, bro, I'll have like, this will be my notes. Okay. It'll be like 5 or 6 notes. And then that's how I do 15 minutes kind of thing. I can't script it like that, but Kevin is really, 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 really good. He'll do a video on a live stream and be like, hold on guys. Okay, guys, meet Kevin here. And he'll do his whole video, read it out and be like, okay, we're done. And continue with his live stream, release that video 15 minutes later. Like he's a savage. I think it would be cool to have him on, even though a lot of people didn't like him when the market went down. But I think it'd be really cool.
That's the attraction.
But I don't know. I'll tell you this channel would not be here today, nor would Candace's, because mine inspired Candace, nor would Tim and Nancy's. I mean, this whole community is inspired by each other. If it wasn't, though, for Meet Kevin. Promise you all that right now. That's why I'm thinking about paying that guy. That's the only person I'll ever pay to be a guest. I promise. Actually, you want to hear something? Well, fuck it. I told him flat out on my email that I'm never paying anyone. I literally told him I find it to be unbecoming, and I am actually a little bit embarrassed that I'm even considering it. But he's changed my life, so I'm going to do it. I know that everyone else who's benefited from my channel has benefited.
Well, we'll know you've parted ways when it comes out. with your money.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll be promoting it for like weeks in advance, so you'll be able to tell. Like, I cannot spend that amount of money unless I get a half decent amount of views. But
There you go.
we'll see.
Yeah.
Well, folks, I want to thank everyone for tuning in tonight. We will see you next week on the second edition of the Danter, Banter, blah, 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 sense, common sense, whatever it was, by the way, that sense
The
was my idea.
consensus.
Common
It was
census,
amazing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Nancy will be back. She's in Montreal on business right now. She sent me a picture this morning. She's at the Montreal Food Show, and she sent me a picture of a seal taco. She was about to have seal for the first time.
Oh.
Hopefully it was. Seal is a rough one. Oh, is it taste normal?
I was absolutely flabbergasted, but you know.
Oh dear.
Seal's a tough one.
Anyway, as all lawyers say goodbye, I'll be suing you.